I just got this balisong in the mail and I'm incredibly excited to flip it for the first time. So I just opened it up, but I have not flipped it whatsoever. As you can see, it is the LDY Orion 1.5. Now this balisong, if you know anything about it, you've probably heard that it is a fantastic value for the price. It comes in at $75. This is actually a blemished model, so it's $65, but plus shipping, it's $75. I've seen dozens of videos of people talking about how this balisong performs way above its price point and how it's just such a fantastic flipper. And so I'm incredibly excited to try it out for myself. That's the purpose of this video. All right, let's give it the first flips. Okay. Whoa. My immediate thought is that it is quieter. Just trying to go right into flipping, but it does feel a little bit like tight. Yeah. Okay. Might need to work it in, break it in a little bit. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit of binding. Well, that was a anticlimactic start. Maybe I should oil it. Okay, my first impression though is that it's very quiet, which I'm absolutely loving. Because I'm not a huge fan of loud balisongs. So it being quiet is definitely a huge plus to me because the Sirius, listen to that, it's so much louder. It's like a quarter of the volume. That was something I was a little like worried about, like, oh, is this gonna not be worth it because I already had like the Sirius, which costs twice as much. And so even if this is supposed to hit like twice above its price bracket, I already have a Sirius, but the sound alone is making it worth it. This is also like my first real like sandwich balisong, so that's good. So far, I have to say, yeah, I can definitely see why this is been hyped up so much. Whoa, it definitely feels very light. Definitely, I can feel the grip is really good, just on like the chamfered sides. Fantastic. Real quick, I just wanted to highlight the blemishes. I noticed because I did just look at it beforehand. I took it out of the box, and this isn't a great angle. Maybe I'll throw up a picture, but yeah, there's some like dents on the handles. Oh, I think there might be some little blemish on the blade too. So that's the other thing, because the blemished models it's a luck draw. So I wasn't sure what color I was gonna get, and honestly, I was okay with any color, but I really just didn't want like gray or black, just because I'm more fan of the fun colors. And I got this super sick. The purple's awesome. It's the winter edition, so it's got like the silver spacers, which looks super cool. Yeah, I was like low-key, I was like a purple or like the red would be super sick, but definitely prefer the purple. But overall, I can definitely see why this balisong, obviously I'll have to spend a lot more time with it to really see how, how I feel about the flipping and everything, but I can see why this has been hyped. I can definitely say it is not overhyped in the least. Obviously take that with a grain of salt because I just started flipping it and it's new, so there's that as well. But yeah, I can firmly say, just from based on my first impressions, I'm not disappointed whatsoever. I am somehow, so far, I feel like the flipping definitely lived up to the hype. So that's super cool. Now, that's something I've also noticed. There doesn't seem to be a bite handle indicator. Like if I chaplain on this side. Interesting. It's almost more comfortable or just as comfortable. Interesting, because it like goes in there. But yeah, super cool. So I don't want this video to be too long. Gonna keep it kind of on the shorter end. I just want to get my first impressions of trying out this balisong, because this is a balisong that I have heard so many people talk about. It has been on my like list of balisongs I want to get, which is a very short list of like balisongs that I'm like, yes, I'm actively would like to purchase this one day. And by a short list, I mean this was like really the only thing that's like on that list of like, I'm going to buy this. And it's been on that for a while. But yeah, so overall, I would say my first impressions would be that this thing is great. I'm really excited to see how it holds up. I am super excited for how quiet this is, because I love a nice quiet balisong. but it also still sounds good, so that's cool. So that entire video was recorded about 5 months ago, and normally I like to post my first impressions soon after recording them, but I was wanting to wait until I did my Series V4 review, because if you've seen that, you know why. But then I kind of just forgot about the first impressions video on the Orion, and I found it recently and didn't want to, you know, just have to scrap it. So I still wanted to post it. But I figured posting, you know, my first impressions on a balisong that I've had for 5 months didn't make a ton of sense. So I thought it'd be cool to kind of give my updated thoughts over these past 5 months about what I think about it. And I don't want to give, there won't be like my full thoughts on the balisong, simply because like a lot of people have covered how this thing flips and other things like that. I really want to focus on my personal experience and how this has kind of fit into my collection in the past 5 months, in addition to pointing out some things that are really not talked about a lot with the Orion. So let's get into it. I do want to quickly say, I do love how this thing flips. I haven't had any issues with any tricks in my entire time flipping with this thing. It flips awesome. It punches well above its price range in flipping performance and in other areas as well. This thing is great. Now, with that aside, it really is a kind of do everything that you would want it to do kind of flipper, just really focused on performance, which I do like. But it's also a little bit unique. Not as much so in like the flipping, but in the sense that, at least for me, my collection, it's my only sandwich like metal balisong. So that's pretty cool. It also does have an adjustable weight system, which I will get into. And as well, it has that nice quiet sound. Now maybe it doesn't pick up as well on camera, but in person it's just not super loud. And so this balisong is really nice when I'm, you know, going someplace, like if I'm at somebody else's house and I want to flip something without being super loud and it's distracting. So I will take this because, yeah, it's nice and quiet and it's metal. So while like I usually will take my Squiddy A that is plastic, so, you know, if I want to get, you know, more of like a standard experience and have a nice performant flipper, this is my go-to one to take. Something that I think is not talked about nearly enough is the adjustable weight system, as I mentioned. I've heard, you know, people say before that, oh, they're like, the Orion flips great and it comes with some weight pins, so you can put in, like there's a little spot in each of these handles that you can add weight pins, which is true. And also just to note, I believe the live blade, because it's just a little bit more pointy, you can't put in the weight pin on this one because it'll hit it. I'm not totally sure, but I think that's the case. So maybe that's also another reason why it's kind of like minimized. But I haven't really heard many people talk about the different weight configurations that you can do. So not only can you add pins to the bottom of the handles, but this also ships stock with pins inside these spacers, which means that you can take them out. Now, the way that it comes stock with the pins in it, it flips really well. As I mentioned in my Sirius V4 review, it has a little bit, definitely carries a little bit more momentum at the ends of the handles than the Sirius, and so it has a little bit more of that like committed feel, but it's really nice and I really do like it. Now, if you take out the weight pins, I feel like it lines up a lot with the Sirius V4, how it's just really super light and agile, and I really do like that feeling. This actually, I do have the weight pins in simply because I have a Sirius, so for me, it just makes sense to have the weight pins in, gives me something a little bit different. So I really like that. And in addition, you can add the weight pins in for even more handle weight and momentum carrying at the ends of the handles, which is really nice. I could definitely see with each one of these configurations, they could be somebody's favorite. And I enjoy trying all of them and using them at different times. And so that's the one thing that I really do like about this weight system, is that there's only a couple of pins in each handle, but each configuration really makes a noticeable difference and a worthwhile difference, if that makes sense. So I think that's really cool about this weight system. And in addition to that, you could even take out the spacers entirely, as long as you have at least one weight pin in there. And you could have 1 to 2 weight pins. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend that, but that's another option. Definitely takes out a lot of handle weight, but you know, give it a shot, see if you like it. So I think that's super cool. Plus, of course, you can get other mods. Like Zippy has his own spacers, which is pretty cool. But just focusing in on the stock weight system that it has, it's super cool, and I think is something that definitely adds to this balisong as well. Now, while this balisong does have that nice adjustable weight system, something about it that I do want to note is the fact that when I took it apart and put it back together, like the tune, I feel like it lost a little bit of just like the tightness, which is kind of to be expected, you know, if you're going to take it apart from like the factory and then, you know, kind of mess with it, put it back together again. It kind of makes sense that it would lose some of that, but it's been okay. Like, it's definitely within an acceptable range for me. The only issue is that I've had like one of the screws tends to back out if I'm flipping and like dropping it on even like the carpet a bit, which is kind of, I feel like, standard, but it is a little bit annoying to have to always like retighten it. And I just, you know, messed around with those spacers and really cranked it down. So maybe I just hadn't cranked it down enough. We'll see. But overall, it's really easy to adjust the weight pins because both of the screws are double-sided, which is really nice. And the last thing I want to mention real quick, even though a lot of people do talk about it in their videos, but it's something that I get asked about quite a bit, and that is, would I recommend this balisong, and specifically to beginners or somebody that's, you know, getting like their first or one of their first balisongs. And I would say 100%, I recommend this all the time to people. Best is like an impossible term with balisongs, but it is one of the best, you know, balisongs that you can get in this price range. It is fantastic. You won't run into the issue of, oh, feeling like you need to upgrade in that sense, just because it's just very performant. And it's nice because you have the adjustable weight system and the double-sided screws, so you can try out different weight configurations. Not that I think a beginner would even be able to tell the difference, but as you advance in your skill level, it's something you can try out and, yeah, learn more about different weight configurations. And this balisong is also really good for anybody that's more experienced and has more balisongs and just wants to add something else to their collection, because it is fairly cheap considering balisong prices. And, you know, even though it's got like that nice performant aspect of it, it's also pretty unique with, you know, its construction and what it offers. And so it can definitely fit very nicely into a collection. Now, if you want to hear a little bit more about the Orion 1.5 and specifically comparing it to the Sirius, then you should check out the full Sirius review here, and I will see you in the next video.